Alright, so Kitty and I are working on an RV. So this is a tremendously interesting problem. Turns out the mechanical world knows about this and has a solution, but since my unit is so old, it's 20 years old now, the solutions are hard to come by. Ford doesn't really support them anymore, but it's not that hard of a problem, and you can maybe engineer a solution. So let me show you what we're talking about. We've got a 2000 Ford F53 chassis here on a it's a 2000 motorhome. So there's your air intake, and down here, this is loose a little bit right now, but this is just a plastic shroud. It has a gap in the back of it, back by this radiator. So air comes in through the grill, comes in here, and then turns and goes into that shroud area. And ignore the white because that's my engineered solution. But there's a tube that sticks down inside this white thing right here. It's just a 3-inch rubber tube. It comes up, pulls into this housing where you can probably see the air filters in there. And then there's a mass airflow sensor in here. And then you come up and you go back through the wall to the engine. So problem is that air intake being so low. Let me give you perspective. So the air intake, and here's the front of the vehicle. So it's at about this height. So whatever goes into that slot basically is going to be right there at the intake. And so what I'm doing is basically I'm going to put a snorkel on here. And the white thing is an adapter for that. But I'll just show you real quick how to get into here. You loosen this band clamp. Pull that off. There's a clamp here. Pull that off. Then this part comes up. And then this housing here is just held on by this rubber strap. And then two little male-female rubber pieces in the back. So that comes off and then comes out. So I'm going to finish the modification here. And I'll show you that when I'm done. But I'll tell you, when this was in the rain, this bottom thing was full of water. There's probably close to a gallon in there, and so it fouled the air filter, so I wasn't getting airflow through there, and it also got the mass airflow sensor wet, and it started reading crazy. And when it was reading crazy, both from reduced airflow and from wetness, the coach lost power, couldn't motivate. So a big deal. It caused a embarrassing, painful time on the interstate for some folks, and so we need to preclude that from happening again. So basically I've made this adapter, and I'm going to route a flexible hose now off the bottom of it with just a clamp and bring it up over here, because in this back corner here there's like nothing up here. So I'm gonna have the air intake come off of here and go through the hose back into the assembly as it was designed by Ford, and then we'll take it out on the road today and give it a test. Thanks. Alright, so this is it in all its glory. There's the adapter I showed you. It was attached to the vehicle before. And then I use this semi-rigid dryer vent hose to basically route down across under the grill and then up into that void area I told you. And I'm going to tie it down with these. This might be a mistake. I'll have to keep an eye on this. Maybe I should use some metal straps or rubber straps. But these little elastic things with a little ball that you can cinch and kind of give it the right amount of tightness. One thing I did find with this semi-rigid dryer vent hose is it's easy to dent. As I was trying to pull this apart, I had grabbed it here and then pulled it to extend it, and very easy to dent. So maybe I'll stick my hand down there if I can and push that out. And so the only thing I have left to do before I bolt it on permanently is some flat black. Nobody wants to see PVC and dryer vent hose on their car. So what's interesting here, and you could make all kinds of toilet jokes about this, but this is just a toilet flange. The housing for the air filter sits on a metal plate, and so I put a rubber gasket, which is just a toilet gasket here. It's out on the RV still, and then this bolts up through it just like it's bolting the toilet down to it. So I'm solving a crappy Ford problem the same way I solve other crappy problems. And then in the middle here there's just about a 3-inch long 4-inch diameter PVC pipe that just mates these two pieces together. This necks down to 3, And then this hose, there's next down to, I don't know. It next down to the size. Oh, because this is a 3ID, 4OD. I don't know. It next down to the size where I can attach this. And then, so I bought all this parts at Lowe's for, I don't know, 30 or 40 bucks. And I think this is going to solve the problem. The risk is that this hose could get dented and then get some restricted airflow. And I'm not worried about that because if we go back out here to the RV, I mean, any hose is going to give flow restriction. I mean, physics tells you that. But if you look at the flow restriction that Ford designed into it, you know, you're looking at this. So there's the end of that, what pulls up into the air filter housing. The I cut off the bottom of this. There was another 3 inches of it with like a bell bottom on it. It was getting in the way of trying to get the housing up into this cutout, so I just hacked it off. So we got less than 3 here, and so that dryer vent hose is 4 at least. And as you know, the flow work of a fluid in a pipe is fluffy squared over 2 dog Charlie, right? So the length is it's linearly proportional to length, square proportional to velocity, and inversely proportional to diameter. So my diameter is big, it goes from 3 to 4, so that helps. But also the diameter going down reduces the flow velocity, because I got that much more flow area. So flow velocity goes down, so there's a square velocity effect in there. I didn't do all the math, but I'm pretty dang sure that I'm gonna get all the flow I need because I have such a bigger pipe leading up to that 3-inch piece. Getting ready to paint this, I just had to stop for a moment, and in case my good buddy Brandon is watching, I just wanted everyone to know I'm using baling twine. So I just got to find a reason to put duct tape on this thing. Maybe I'll put some duct tape right here or something. It really doesn't matter. But, you know, if you can't fix it with duct tape and baling twine, it can't be fixed. So, Jersey's helping me now. So we've got a finished product. I haven't road tested it yet, because obviously I want to make sure that I can, you know, hammer back and see if I can pull 80 miles an hour or whatever, because someone's going to need to do that on this thing out in crossing the Dakotas or something. So I'll show you what it looks like. That piece is not going back on. That's that shroud I showed you. So here we go. Ford part. It's black now, right? I spray painted it. And so, oh, there's the cat helping me out here too. So you can see it mounts here. It uses the same toilet mounting hardware. Band clamped it onto the hose, and then I use these elastic ball things I hooked onto different hangers that were already here. One thing I was going to originally bolt on to this member here, because it's just a big chunk of iron, but it had a sharp edge to it, and I thought, you know, that's going to vibrate and put a hole in this and make the whole thing ineffective. So anyway, but I brought it up here, turned it sideways, and I'll see if you can see in there. You probably can't, but there it is. There's the air in. So we'll try that out, and I'm confident. I think we won't ever recur this problem. So I'm gonna have to watch this close, because any install that you invent, there's something that you didn't think about, and so I'll need to make sure that you know, after a few hours of use, it still looks like this. After a day of use, it still looks like this. You know, that sort of thing. Anyway, hope this helped, and if you like this video, subscribe at the bottom and like. Yeah, just kidding. I got like 4 likes on my videos, so it's not that big a deal. But anyway, it makes me feel good. Oh, there's a cat. She's not in focus. He. Come on, silly Billy. You do better. You know, I feel lucky. I have a farm cat. This cat, I saw it eating a moth last night. You know how cats do. They just tease them. They hurt them and watch them flop around. Anyway, so I feel lucky. I got a barn cat that'll eat animals, which is why it's here. The cat, I mean. And still likes me, so I get both of those. And I'll see you later. So, just wanted to report that this is, well, Charlotte, come kiss. No kiss for me. So, wanted to report that road test conducted yesterday went to about 20 miles up, 20 miles back, hitting speeds of 65, I guess. It was a U.S. highway, not an interstate, so I didn't go 80. But I did hammer back, get her up to 4,000 or 5,000 RPM, pulling up a hill, and felt the same as it always ever did. So I'm calling it a win, and one of my little elastic hangers moved a little bit, but other than that, it successful. So good luck. Hope to help. You wonder how I got that? Crawling out from under the RV, hit my head on the plastic skirt in the front. Bled.